Katie does her PGCE. In this video, we talk about observation number 5, or number 1 of this placement block. This observation was with my university tutor in a class that I've never taught before. Well, I've met students, but I've never taught health and social care before in that classroom, and I've never even worked on a Monday at school before, so it was a whole bunch of newness for me and for them. So sit back, relax, grab a brew, and enjoy this tale of how I actually survived this observation.
Morning, YouTube. It's 7:30 in the morning, just about to leave for school. I'm so nervous. Today I've got an observation by my tutor, which is always nerve-wracking anyway, but it's the first time teaching health and social care in this classroom, and I'm a little bit nervous. Hopefully we're okay. I'll report back later and reflect on how it went and stuff. So yeah, here's to observation 1. Hi, so we're back. We survived, I guess. That's one positive thing we can take from today. No, in all seriousness, I've learnt a lot today, and my observation was super helpful. So yeah, let's start at the beginning. So I had 5 learners, 4 of which I've taught GCSE science to before, 1 of which I've never really met before. I've seen her about school, but I've not talked to her before, so that was like a new adventure for me. I've worked a lot in this particular classroom, but never really taught in it, so it's kind of getting used to teaching in a nurture environment as well, like very small space, and it's like not a traditional classroom setup. So that was quite cool. So what did we start with? The lesson started with me introducing the assessment criteria, and like the module, what the outcomes were, what the learning aims were, what the objectives were for this lesson, and that all went really well. And then we looked at values, and what values they have in their lives, and I used the whiteboard. That was good, wasn't it? Go me. I don't normally use it, I normally like shy away, but I was like, nope, getting observed. Let's get out the whiteboard. That was good. I used some examples. Like, young people did really well at coming up with things that generated some good conversation. I then, because we don't have the textbook at school, the only copy we've got is one that I bought, because I was like, I can't teach this without the actual textbook. But the school don't have them, because obviously Prue's only small, there's only a couple of kids doing their qualification. So yeah, I photocopied that and then got them to go through and find like definitions for words, and that was pretty good. Most of them really did well with that, because to be honest, it was pretty easy. And like, to differentiate, I gave one student like broken down like definitions, like really simplified, so that he could write them, copy them, and put them on like in his workbook. One student was like, I don't know what I'm doing, I can't bother to do it. So I was like, you can do it. The answers are right here. Like, I'm not lying or making it hard for you. So I managed to get her to like re-engage. I also forgot to say at the beginning of the lesson, the old teacher, well, not the old teacher, but the health and social care teacher, was like, guys, this is Katie. You know her. She's going to be your teacher until Easter. So that's it, really. I'm here more to just help out and things like that. You listen to Katie, blah, blah, blah. One of the students was just like, oh, that's it. I'm not doing health and social care. I don't want anyone else but you. And I was like, oh, thanks. That's so nice. Aren't you lovely to me? And I just sort of brushed it off, and I was like, okay, cool, whatever. If you don't like me, then I don't really have a problem. That's fine. We'll move on. So yeah, but actually that got progressively better through the lesson. So yeah, we've done our definitions, which I think went quite well, like quite easy to differentiate. Then we went through them. I just went around the table and like got a few people to say like what the definitions and stuff were. And then we watched a video on Winterbourne View, which shows like a lot of abuse to adults with learning disabilities, and it was like a big case, and it was on telly, and it's a really shocking video because it shows people like being hurt and people not being very nice to other people, but it sort of showed them why we have health and social care values. So it's sort of like this is what happens when there aren't the values to underpin. And they really engaged with that. They like everyone watched it. They sat there and they were like, "Oh, this is horrible," and it shocked them, but it worked. And then we had a little discussion after. But one thing, like my tutor did say is that I sort of like cut the opportunity. I should have like explored it a bit further, but I didn't. I just sort of jump cutted on something else. And like on reflection, I think that's just because I don't think I have the confidence yet to sort of have discussions and like just see where they go. Like as a youth worker and stuff, that should be something I'm really good at. But I think in a classroom when you're being observed, sometimes you just like you don't think about the discussions, and I don't know. So I think that's something I really want to work on, is how I can sort of use questions to get more, and like it's all part of like the scaffolding thing as well, and building on like what they know and stuff. So that was really good. And then after that we did I can't even remember. I've repressed it all. After that I did some like didactic teaching, and we also looked at some pictures, and it's like what care values are these people displaying and stuff. These are all ideas I got off Tess, and I thought, yeah, they're quite good. And then we went through, it was a bit like I had to do some didactic bits because basically this unit is very, 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 very wordy. So a lot of it is just like new definitions, and it can be quite dull. So you try to make it interesting, but it can be really, really hard. So yeah, we went through some more different things, and like by this point it had been about 45 minutes of the lesson, if not, no, I think it had been nearly an hour of the lesson, and I could tell my learners was sort of like tailing off. And so I was like, right, in 10 minutes we'll have a break, like you deserve it. Before that, one of my learners like asked to go to the toilet. And I was like, yeah, sure, that's fine. But they took their school bag with them. And I was like, you don't need to take that with you, do you? You're just going to the toilet. And this was a male, and I've not been notified of any reason why he should take it. So I was like, no. And he openly defied me, took it anyway. So when he came back, I just, he sat down next to me and I went, don't lie to me again in future. And I've said, I've put 5 minutes on the board for that because it's not acceptable. So we had that, and then it came to break time, and he then was like, I'm going out for a cigarette. And I was like, no, you shouldn't even have cigarettes, and no, you're not. This is just a break to get a drink and to stretch your legs. Well, he did stretch his legs in the fact that he absconded and another student followed after him. So that was quite difficult. I basically just asked my inclusion workers to sort of deal with the problem, and I then sort of refocused it with the three I had. And with the three I had, we looked at some case studies and stuff. And actually, like, I took some examples from places where I've worked in the past, and they were like, well, that would never happen. And I was like, well, it did, because I was there when it happened. So I thought I was really good in like bringing confidentiality and stuff to life. So that was cool. And I think that worked really well. So then my final sort of activity of the day was to like get them to look at the 6 health and social care values and make like a model to help them like learn them. And I think I've just basically made it too broad. Like, don't get me wrong, some of the young people did engage and they were, but it was just like, oh, it's so much, I can't decide what to do. And talking with my tutor, she was like, I would have done that first and then done everything else last. I think the reason I did it last, it was so like, oh, we could get through the boring bits to do the fun bits. And that's something I've noticed I sort of tend to do a lot. It's like, okay, we'll do loads of really, really boring stuff and then we'll get to the fun stuff. Whereas actually like, oh, I need to mix it up a little bit and I need to like, you know, make it all interesting. Nothing should be boring. I mean, just talking through vocabulary is never going to be exciting, but yeah. So I guess in a way, I think I want to be more creative as a teacher. But like with the 3 that I had left out of my 5, we had a great afternoon. The atmosphere was lovely. We listened to some music. We had some really nice conversations, and there was a lot of the hidden curriculum stuff going on, which is all about social skills and stuff. So I was really pleased with that. Obviously, like the absconding and stuff, and the sort of rudeness was really hard. And like, oh, on the outside, I looked quite cool, but inside I was going, oh my god, no, why is this happening to me during an observation? I'm never going to be a good teacher. And actually, after speaking to my tutor, I think, I always immediately jump to, oh, those 2 absconded, and so my lesson was a failure. When actually, I should think, oh, we had a really good session with these 3. But yeah, so to conclude, I feel like I've learned so much from one observation. But it's actually given me some confidence because my tutor basically said, you know, a lot of the things you do is quite instinctive, and you know, she also said I would leave my kids with you, and so that was made me think, oh, that's really nice. So yeah, to conclude, it was an eventful observation, but it was really good for learning, and I think I'm gonna sort of try and do a bit more reading and looking at like creative activities and stuff like that, like tomorrow for like the plenary, for looking at definitions of words. I've got like loads of different words in a cup and they've got to go and explain it for a minute without hesitation and stuff, and that should be really good fun. So hopefully it goes well. So wish me luck, guys, for my 2nd lesson in health and social care. I think I did really well, like considering the amount of change and stuff that was happening for young people in my class, and I think that's where a lot of the unsettlement was and stuff like that. And you know, at the end of the day, young people make choices on their behaviour. If more than half managed, you know, engaged really nicely in the lesson, it can't have been that awful. But I think, you know, sometimes teenagers are also just that way out. They turn up to your lesson and they don't want to be there, and nothing you can do is gonna, you know, make it better. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed hearing my tale of this observation. I will be adding more videos soon.